Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Charles. Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to episode 38 of the Crypto Entrepreneurs Podcast. It's your host, Charles, and today I'm going to be sitting down with one of my good buddies, Loma Crypto, and we're going to be talking about this platform that he is a part of. It's called NowCrypto. It's a group of 8 traders, and they post setups, once or twice a month, and it comes in a subscription form. So I'm not going to give away too much of it. I'm going to let him talk about it. We're also going to get into just, the basics of trading, how you can get started as a trader, and some great resources as well on, how to get started. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so Loma, can you just give us a little bit of background on yourself before we really jump into things, just so my audience can kind of get an idea of who you are?
Yeah, man. So before I got into trading, crypto or any of that, I worked in the finance industry, did a little bit of private accounting, and for what it was good. It was what I studied through college for finance and accounting, and basically from there I worked a full-time job, right? And absolutely hated it. Realized, no, this isn't what I wanted to do. I didn't like spending 60, 70 hours a week in the office, basically living there, no social life. All my relationships were kind of, falling apart, and I didn't really have time for myself. But because of that, I had access to all these other people who had side investments and all of that. And from there, I kind of heard a couple of things about crypto, what it was, what Bitcoin is. And I had some background just because I used it before to buy stuff while I was in college. And, it didn't really resonate with me until maybe prices hit ridiculous numbers like 20K.
There we go.
And then that's when I started getting into crypto. And for the last year and a half, I've basically been doing this full time, just trading, learning, pretty much self-taught. And here we are now.
There we go. So, we kind of have a similar background. I also went to college and got a degree in finance and was working at a bank. Similar hours, and now I'm kind of in that similar boat where I hated it so much so to the point that I quit my job to go full time. And so you said you were doing private accounting, and then you got into Bitcoin around the end of 2017 when you saw that prices were, or you got very interested in it. You said you had used it before, but did you have any sort of trading experience prior to crypto?
Yeah, it depends on what you define trading experience. So I've always bought, stocks as an investment.
There we go.
You wouldn't consider that trading because I didn't actively manage the position or anything, right? But so I had bought stocks and whatnot beforehand. Had no idea what I was really looking at when I was looking at a chart, a candlestick, price action, none of that.
Okay.
But did I dabble in the market beforehand anyway? Fuck yeah, I did.
There we go. So you understand. I was just gonna say, you understand. You're kind of more of an investor than a trader,
right?
And I feel like some people throw the criticism out there. Oh well, you didn't have any trading experience before. I've heard this with many traders who I see on Twitter. But you went full time, so you've been doing this, every single day for. What is it, like 2 years now?
Yep.
And so I think that kind of people need to understand that when you're trading every single day, and these markets are 24/7. So if you're trading every single day, you start to gain that experience very quickly.
Right.
And I was kind of in the same boat. No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And when you're trading a 24/7 market and you're surrounded by people who are also learning, where you can constantly toss ideas and get some back, it literally just exponentially increases your rate of learning. The way that you improve, you'll learn what works, what doesn't work, and all of that extremely quickly compared to, maybe starting at an entry level position, working your way up into, maybe a first, second, third year trader, where you might be on test funds for the first year, year and a half, so this is just diving straight into the deep end, if that makes any sense.
100%. And I completely agree because, this is not a traditional market in a sense where we have these resources like Twitter and Discord where we can jump on and we're chatting with, some extremely experienced traders, and they're willing to share that knowledge. And that actually kind of segues into my next question, and what we're here to really talk about, and that's NowCrypto. So can you just tell us, can you give us a rundown on what it is, who's involved, just like the, brief overview of it, and then maybe talk about pricing and what you can get out of it, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, man. So NowCrypto isn't basically, it's a platform, right? Where we have right now, I believe it's nine traders who will go on there every month and post one or two setups in detail with how to manage it, how they're managing it, what they're looking for, what they don't want to see, kind of the entire trade setup from start to finish, right? That you can follow along if you want, or you can just kind of view it and then just keep an update on it as it progresses. But the idea behind it was just to make an affordable way for people who, say, still work a 9 to 5, right? They still have a main full-time job that they do, but they want to invest or trade on the side, and they don't really care too much about, doing their own trading or anything. They want to just follow a setup from some other trader, and they're willing to invest however much money they want to put in there. What's really nice about it is that it's only $10 a month, which is like 2 coffees or something, and I can't imagine $10 breaking the bank for anyone. And if that's the case, maybe you shouldn't be investing if $10 is your make it or break it limit. But yeah,
there we go. So I mean, it's super cheap. Like you're saying, $10 a month is a couple coffees, maybe 2 or 3 coffees depending on where you live.
Right.
If you're brewing at home, it might be a whole batch, but whatever.
Yeah.
I really like what you're saying about the fact that it is, the full rundown of only a couple trades for the month. On Twitter and stuff, we see, people posting a single chart, and they update the chart as time passes, and you can see, okay, they've either, this trade has worked out or it hasn't. But I think there's so much more behind just that picture that people aren't seeing. There's the thought process before entry. There's, what's going to invalidate this chart, stops, et cetera. And the idea behind this platform is that you're going to get everything. It's not just that chart. And so I'm looking through some of the featured traders. You said there's 9 of you guys. I'm seeing you, Nick Patel, Moon Overlord. We've got the Crypto Dog, Brock Lex, and Mac. And then I think there was one other person. So I
think there's Bob, who's like the owner.
Yeah, Bob, and then Credible Crypto. So there's some really big names right there. And these are some of what I would consider the more well-known traders on Twitter. And I talk about Twitter a lot just because I feel like it's the hub for a lot of crypto and crypto traders for people to bounce ideas off of.
I agree. Yep.
So you've got, these 9 or so great traders, and they're all posting 1 or 2 setups a month. And it's incredibly cheap. So it sounds like, you're really getting a lot for what you're paying for.
Yep.
So when you get into the mind of these successful traders, there's a lot you can learn. And I think it's a very powerful tool. So do you think you could just speak from personal experience how you've gained, what you've gained from, actually getting into that mindset and seeing a trade from start to finish?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really, really good point that you made. Um, Sometimes it's not even about whether the trade works out or not. It's seeing the process that goes behind every single trade, from the setup, the entry, the risk management of it. Maybe the trade doesn't work out, but you get to see how you would properly handle a trade that doesn't go your way, instead of, maybe holding on to the offside for like, way past your stop, wherever it is. So that's a really big part of it. As far as what I've learned from just watching trades, and I think everyone should do this at some point, find someone that you really want to learn from, and reverse engineer their trades. And it's even better when they're on a platform like this, where they explain to you what they see from start to finish, what they're looking for from start to finish. So you have pretty much a clear live time update of, the trade from start to end. um, what's really nice is that someone could be, a trader for 20 years, right? Just tossing out a random number, a very long time. And, it might take them 20 years to be profitable, develop their edge, learn certain things about the market, but they could teach that to you in a fraction of the time. So essentially, you're paying for time. You're paying for, you know, learning things from someone who's fucked up before, saving you from doing those same mistakes over and over and over and over again, and learning it on your own. You can literally increase your, like, you can decrease the time that it takes you to learn how to be profitable, and increase the chances that you're likely to ever be profitable. Because some people are just not really meant to trade. I'm going to be completely honest. I know it's always, oh, if I copy this person, I'm going to be successful. If I see how this person trades and copy them from start to finish, I will be successful. I will be profitable. But that's not always the case. I think just being able to look into their minds and seeing how they handle it is a good thing, but you really do, need to implement it. And some people just will never be able to implement it. It's just not their personality. Maybe they don't have, the patience for it. Maybe they don't even have the capital for it, right? Whatever situation they're in. So I want to make that clear. I know the platform is awesome and all, but it's not one of those things that is a one size fits all. It's very important to be able to look into people's setups, but also realize it's not the only way to do it. And sometimes how it works for one person is not the same way that it's going to work for you.
You touched on a lot there, and I think you brought up some really great points. And so I just want to reiterate some of those for anyone who's listening, because I think it's extremely crucial that we get these points across. So to start, you talked about what some great traders do when they see somebody who posts a chart. And what your goal should be to do is to reverse engineer that chart and try to understand where that person is coming from. And with NowCrypto,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with NowCrypto, you have all of that, that thought process, what went into making the chart, really everything. And so you don't have to do that work and try to reverse engineer these charts when you could be wrong. You might be right, but it does take a lot of work.
Exactly.
Whereas here, you have that whole thought process. So just one of the many benefits that you've seen while working with these people and, looking at the platform and being on the platform. And then you also talked about the fact that it takes an extremely long amount of time to develop an edge as a trader. I remember seeing a post that Gainsey threw up. That's Crypto Gains 1 for anyone who's listening on Twitter. And I think he's...
Shout out my boy Gainsey.
Yeah. I think
fucking love that guy.
Yeah, I think he's a very well-respected trader in the scene. And I remember a tweet that he had that said something like, I've taken, 10,000 hours to develop my edge, and create these algos. So why would I share them with anybody else? And, you know, it's a little bit different because when you're, you know, using those trading algos, you can just kind of set and forget and make little tweaks. Whereas here, you guys are giving away this information that, you know, is already accessible. You're just kind of packaging it into this nice, you know, platform that you've got. And so instead of having to take, you know, countless hours, months, years to develop this edge to become a profitable trader, you can learn from these greats and learn from their mistakes and not make those same mistakes that they're making. So that's, you know, a second benefit that you've seen while using this platform. And then the last thing you touched on was the fact that, you know, trading isn't for everybody. It's not as glamorous as people make it out to be. And so I just want to stress that, because I don't think I want to make sure my audience knows that this isn't some golden ticket. You know, you spend this $10 a month and you're going to become this insanely profitable trader. What you're getting here is really that background thought process behind these trades and the knowledge from these people. And then you do need to go and, you know, apply that if you're going to be a successful trader. Again, you did touch on the fact that, you know, this could be for people who just want to copy a few trades per month, and they could be successful. They might not be. But I think the biggest value of this platform is that you're learning from these great traders and you can get into their minds.
Yep, exactly. Especially because so many traders only have maybe a couple setups that they look for, right? Or like in this case, we only post setups that we really like, that fit, you know, one of our favorite parameters or something, right? Maybe for some people that's support resistance flip, or for some other people it might be, you know, some Ichimoku cloud or whatever, but they're posting their best setups, and inherently that probably means it's profitable and it works, hopefully, right?
Of course, yeah, hopefully.
So
that kind of gets into the whole thing where, like, on Twitter, you know, traders and people who are known for being good traders are kind of pressed to continuously put out charts and setups that they think are great. But, you know, it's kind of a little bit forced in my mind. Whereas on this platform, it's 1 to 2 trades a month. So you're really, you know, combing through every setup and every chart possible to find this one that you really truly believe will be profitable. And there's less pressure.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate, you know, just giving us, you know, some of the reasons why you think this platform's beneficial and how you've seen it benefit yourself. But I do want to talk about something that was a little bit controversial at the beginning when you guys first launched. A couple people, when I said that you were coming on to talk about this, were like, well, can you guys talk about, there was a trader, he's got a Twitter account, Crypto Rand. I don't know if you're familiar with him. And, you know, I hate to, you know, point out one specific person, but there is a lot of controversy around this Twitter account, and you guys had him listed as a trader.
Yeah.
So can you just talk to us about, you know, that vetting process and then what happened? Because I'm curious, and I know my audience is.
Oh yeah, 100%. And honestly, I'm glad that you're asking this, because, you know, I didn't want to make a Twitter tweet or some shit about it, because, you know, it just seems so random, and sometimes it gets buried. So for anyone who's curious, my answer is this. So Bob reached out to me, and I assume he reached out to all the other traders as well. And when he brought me on, Rand was actually already one of the traders. He was actually the first trader that was listed. And I didn't know much about the guy. So, you know, I look at the portfolio of traders that's, you know, committed to the project, and whatever, I go through all their Twitter pages, their Twitter handles and all of that, right? Just to see see who my coworkers are, right? And I get to Rand, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I blocked?
I was gonna say, he's probably got you blocked.
Yeah. I was like, that's so weird. This guy is not showing up. Like, they must have fucked up and got his handle wrong. And it didn't even cross my mind that I was blocked, because I was like, dude, I've never interacted with this guy, right?
Nope.
Never even talked to him, really. I kind of know who he is, because everyone's always like, yeah, Rand has pumping power, whatever the fuck, right? I don't even know what that means. And then, so I went on like an incognito page, and then I, searched up crypto Rand, and it showed up, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy has me blocked, didn't know anything about the guy. And then when I announced, hey, I'm one of the founding traders, whatever, I had a fucking slew of fucking DMs from everyone, dude. People I knew, people I didn't know, everyone just like DMing me like, hey, are you working with that Rand guy? What's up with this Rand guy? And I'm like, dude, I have no idea what's going on. So, I did some research, and I was like, oh, like, I guess there's a lot of controversy between him and like some fake giveaways or fake donations or something like that. And I mean, that sucks to see. It's one of those things where I think they vetted him and they just assumed that, hey, he's clean. We'll take his word for it, because we don't have proof that he did whatever they said he did. And he was kind of before my time. I got into crypto like mid 2017, and I didn't know too much about him. I just knew he was like a really big guy on Twitter, right? Didn't know anything about him. But they decided to, cut ties once it was overwhelmingly negative. Like, everyone would comment under every single post, like, hey, Rand is a scammer, hey, Rand is this, Rand is that. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea who this guy is. Like, I don't even know what to say. I can't even tag him because I'm blocked for whatever reason. But I think there's something to be said when every part of the community has something bad to say about you. When the newbies have something to say, when the vets have something to say, when the altcoin traders have something to say, when the fucking BitMEX legends over there have something to say, usually there's some truth to it. And I assume that's why they cut ties, just to not have that negative stigma all over the project.
There we go. Yeah. So, I mean, before we, talk about any of that, I just want to say that this wasn't any sort of personal attack, and I don't think anyone viewed you being a part of the project as, oh, you're a scammer because Rand's involved.
Yeah.
My reason for asking this was because, it sounds like Bob reached out individually to all of you guys. I'm sure he did his due diligence. This one slipped through the crack. But the reason I, ultimately wanted to ask this question was to see if this was kind of a fluid thing where, you can cut people, other traders will get added. Because for the most part, everyone that's up on the site now is a well-respected trader with lots of experience. And I think the whole Twitter community will vouch for them. But down the line, if say, one of these traders is not, up to par and their setups are doing poor, is there any, are you guys going to at some point make the decision to say, hey, we're no longer going to feature this trader on the platform. We're now looking for other people to add. Do you know anything about that?
I mean, I would imagine that's the case. If you have fucking 15 terrible trades in a row and it doesn't make sense, and you don't have like a couple wins in between, it would make sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, but everyone goes through those rough patches. As a trader,
exactly.
You do have bad trades, you do have bad setups. You're not going to have 100% strike rate. Nobody will. And so I'm just wondering if at some point, if that's just Bob's decision or if it's kind of a group decision, if it's going to be based on, how the community feels. So I just kind of wanted to get an idea of how that's going to be going forward.
Right.
But I think we're just going to need to see
normally
it play out.
how it's been going is, we'll get feedback from the community And then Bob we'll have like a team meeting or something, and we'll talk about things, right? So far we've never, we haven't kicked anyone out for poor performance, just because
it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, one, it hasn't been that long, and two, if you're trading alts, there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind. Like if there's a couple thousand people that are on the platform, right? You can't really, post a setup that's 50 Bitcoin volume on the daily, because, then you'll be doing exactly what people have been kicked out before for potentially doing, right? Like pumping and dumping, or just artificially pumping a coin because there's 15 fucking volume on the daily. So of course you're right. If 1,000 people buy in, it almost doesn't even matter what the chart looks like if there's no volume to it. Like it's going to go up. So that's always a hard part. And as far as, kicking people in and out, right now it's too soon to say, but I would imagine so. Yeah. If performance is awful and the market picks up, but the performance is still bad, I think that's when you got to, change the formula a little bit. You got to maybe add a couple people, or take out a couple people. But yeah.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, it's very early in the process, so,
yeah, exactly.
Too soon to tell, which I kind of assumed was going to be kind of the thought process right now.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's look to the future. What are you most excited for with regards to NowCrypto, and then just yourself, for the next 12 months?
With NowCrypto, I'm excited for the market to pick up, because if the market picks up, I know a lot of these traders will really, have their time to shine. And being part of the platform means I get to also peek into the minds of these people. And a lot of these traders are extremely, extremely smart, but they'll never post anything on Twitter. Like Moon Overlord or something, right? The dude is extremely smart. He has a couple bots running, really, so it's kind of like Gainsey, where he has algorithms that trade for him. And so he does that. But I would love to, be able to peek into the mind of a lot of these other traders that I don't get to really see their setup publicly. And as far as for me, man, I'm so excited to just see some fucking volatility in life and market. 2018 was, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad year to trade, but it was a bad year to just be longing alts, because my God, it was kind of like fitting a square in a circle, or a circle in a square. It was fucking ridiculous. It was probably one of those years where I was like, oh, maybe I should fucking, trade some other market, because this shit sucks. I'm basically just shorting everything. Every time it pumps, short. Every time it bounces, short. So this year I'm really just glad that there's movement both ways. There's alter going up, there's BTC volatility. It seems there's a lot more personality on Twitter now too. You have a lot of different outlets and different voices and different traders now. Some people would say it's a good thing, some people say it's a bad thing, but I really just enjoy the community now. There's a lot of extremely smart people just popping up, like Gainsey, like Sim, like pretty much all of PDF. They're super smart, and I have no idea what they're doing half the time, but that's always something. I think that's always a good thing, because whenever I talk to them, it kind of blows my mind. Like, damn, I didn't see it that way. I didn't know you could throw on an analysis like that onto this. I'm trying to be really general right here to not get in trouble with tossing their alpha out, but
no,
yeah.
No, I appreciate that. It's kind of hard to get into the weeds over a podcast, so I think the more general things are, the easier it is to follow. But some things you mentioned there that I really like, and the fact, like you talked about Moon Overlord, he's got that bot. I believe it's just Moonbot 3000. I could be wrong on that Twitter
Yeah, he
handle.
might have some other scripts that he personally uses, that he might
Yeah.
not be publishing publicly, but
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 no,
yeah.
see, well, that was the thing. It's you just see the trade that it's making. If you follow the bot on
Yeah.
Twitter, it's just the trade. And you
hmm
talked about actually getting into the mines, which is kind of what this whole podcast has been about and what you guys are doing at NowCrypto. But I think as the year progresses, you will get to see more trades from each of these people, which means you will get deeper into their minds and you can kind of see, different setups, not just a single one, and really get a, all-encompassing picture of how this person trades and what their thought process is. And that's just going to take time and more setups and more trades for you to fully get that understanding. So I
Yeah.
think
hmm
with regards to NowCrypto, that's what everyone should be following along and doing and taking notes on, to really get that full picture. And then for yourself, you talked about market volatility, and you came into the market end of 2017, early 2018, and for a while we were just going down, 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 down.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was some ups and downs to it, and then this year it's been more of an up until
Yeah,
very
exactly.
recently. So the idea that you'll get to trade, not just a bear market or not just a full bull market, and you'll get this
Yeah,
volatility.
exactly. That kind of in between stage,
Yeah,
where you kind of have to be good at trading in a bear market and in a bull market. Like you can't just blind bull, blind long and just be profitable. You got to understand, all right, here's my window to short. Here's my window to long. And I think that's one of those, I think traders in general should experience every kind of market, and I feel like this is that little tweener market where yeah, it's a bull market on high time frame, but you you kind of get to blend your skills together. The skills that you learned while you're in the bear market, a lot of things that you learned in the bull market, and you kind of just know when to use what.
there we go. Yeah, I think it really helps you become a very well-rounded trader, because a
Exactly.
lot of
Yeah.
people that I talk to, especially after 2018 when all we did was go down, their thought
hmm
process was still short every bounce, and it took a while for them to understand that, okay, no, we've bottomed off, we're going sideways for a bit, and then we started going up. And so to be in the thick of it and watch that all play out really
hmm
creates these very well-rounded traders. So for anyone who's trading, I think that just more time in the market is something that you should be stoked on for the coming 12 months. Um,
Yeah, exactly, man. Just more time in the market. And of course, I have a couple side things that I'm doing outside of crypto. Um,
do you
but
care
as
to
far as crypto
elaborate?
goes,
Can you
yeah, yeah,
elaborate?
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, yeah.
The thing is, when people come on here, it's kind of hush hush, oh, this is what
Yeah,
we have in the
exactly.
pipeline, but they don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it. But
Yes,
no,
yes.
I would love to hear what you've got going on outside. I love getting into the minds of different, entrepreneurs, traders, what they've got going on in their personal life. So
Yeah.
if you feel comfortable with it, fire it
Oh
off.
yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, my last one that's still crypto is so I'm gonna be doing pretty much a kind of like a Twitch stream thing going on with Coin Headquarters. That's gonna be launching soon. I know Gainesy's gonna be part of it, and King and the rest of the gang.
So
A
a
bunch
lot
of
of
other
PDF.
yeah, a lot of CT traders as well.
There we go.
Personalities will also be part of that. So that's coming up soon. I'm sure the details will start coming out as things are finalized.
There
But
we go.
outside of crypto, man, man, it's been I don't even know where to start. So I'm gonna go ahead and start right at like 2017. So we had that insane bull market, right? Where like pretty much if you were in the market and you held a position, you made money. And so I have a couple real estate properties and all of that that's invested in, and right now it's starting to get to that point where I'm like honestly I'm able to live off just like the interest from it, the interest from all those investments, the returns on those. So I'm happy with that. I'm training right now. I have a fight in around, what was it? Let me see, 3 weeks or so. Um, for anyone who just tuned in or skipped all the way to this part, uh, outside of being Loma on crypto, I'm also a boxer, and I that's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me from fucking dying in the market and getting so heated and emotional about things. It's my haven almost. So I enjoy doing that, and that's all I've been really thinking about in the short term. In the long term, man, I have a couple ideas that we're opening a couple businesses near me. I'm going to be funding that, a couple restaurants. We're franchising a couple things. I don't want to go into like the specific name just so that
Yeah, no,
I don't want to give out my location and all of that. But
of course.
but yeah, so a lot of businesses that I'm invested in. We're opening a restaurant very soon, so I'll be a little preoccupied with that. I have a fight coming up, and things are just lining up, man. It's been busy, but you can't really complain. It's a good problem to have.
Oh, 100%. I was going to say, man, you were freaking busy. So, yeah, just to recap all of that for anyone who's listening, because you talked on some stuff that really gets me jazzed. You talked about that kind of Twitch stream that you've got going on with Coin Headquarters, and you mentioned some people that, I'm super stoked to see on there, Gainsey, King, those kind of folks. And I know you don't want to give out too much. And then you talked about some real life business and some real life money making outside of crypto. I say real life just because, everyone jokes that this is fake internet money. But, you poured profits from 2017 into a couple investment properties. And I think that's the goal for a lot of people that I've talked to. At least they're like, oh, I want to get into, real estate. So congrats on that.
Thanks, man.
Of course, you did talk about these businesses and these franchises that you're going to be opening up. I don't need to hear anymore. We're kind of in a weird state where you want to be anonymous. You don't want people knowing who you are. And I get that because I have a semi-anonymous account. And then you talked about that fight. I've seen you posting about it on Twitter occasionally. And that's in about 3 weeks. So I'm sure people are stoked to see your progress and want to see how that goes. And you talked about it keeping you, really level-headed. And I think, for anyone who's listening, I think that is key to staying sane in this market because, it's 24/7. And so if you don't have...
That's the biggest part.
It's so hard to turn it off,
Yeah. Dude, you can't turn it off, man, especially if you have a Twitter following, dude. You look at your phone and you have like a bunch of notifications all the time, right? You're always reminded of the market.
It's alerts. It'll kill you if you don't, find a way to detach and, pour your thoughts and effort and, all of that into something outside of crypto. So I'm really stoked for what you've got going on. And, I like talking about it just because, my show's about business and entrepreneurs and I love hearing about it. So thank you for giving us that insight into who you are.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's good that, these topics get brought up on here on so many different episodes, right? Because a lot of people that tune into this are from crypto. And sometimes they think this is the only way that they're going to get to that next tax bracket, to that life they want, to that financial freedom, to whatever their fucking end goal is, right? But you can always leverage, what you make in crypto into other areas of your life. You can literally have 5, 6, 7, 8 different streams of income if you want. You just gotta figure out what you want, how to get there, and then you start. A lot of people just think, oh, I'm gonna trade crypto, Bitcoin's gonna go to fucking 100K and I'm gonna retire. And I wish life was just that easy. And I'm not saying it might not. I'm not saying Bitcoin will never hit 100K. I'm just saying if that is your only way of, getting to wherever you want to go, you're gonna like there's a good chance of failure. If you diversify and you open up different roads to get to the same area, dude, if one road's blocked, you take the other one. That one's blocked, you take the other one, right? Like, you don't have to be so strict on how to get there. Just figure out different ways to get there. It's not.
And I think that's the end goal for a lot of people, is these kind of multiple streams of income. Especially when I talk to people, they're like, okay, I'm working on this, and that. But I think crypto's that starting point, and they are kind of hoping for that big boom, so that they can get invested into other areas. But I like what you said about, just start, get into those things now, get them to start producing income. And as crypto grows, you can feed profits into those other, streams of income. But
exactly, man. Like, I think a lot of people confuse the fact that, if you're in crypto and you're not a trader, you're a LARP, you're a scammer, you're a whatever, right? But the truth is, it's like there are so many people in crypto that if they drew a chart, I would counter trade it without even looking at it. Okay. Like, there are some people who make a living off attending events, marketing, people who fly around the fucking world, just attend, like Nye, for an example, right? He doesn't really trade. He invests.
He's more of an investor.
Yeah, he invests, but he found different areas of crypto to get involved.
Exactly.
He didn't do it, just off the exchanges or whatever. He found ways to market himself to small coins, to different teams, to exchanges, and now he's all over the world, right? There's so many different ways to get to wherever you want to be. You just got to not be so hung up on, I have to be a trader, I have to be a marketer, I have to be famous on Twitter, I have to, make an algorithm that brings me 400% profit a year, whatever.
I appreciate that a lot, because I think a lot of people that are tuning into this episode are going to want to get your trading expertise and are wanting to be traders, but the fact that you're telling them, that's not the only way to do it is, it's very powerful to me, especially because I don't make a majority of my income from trading. I've got, the podcast, I've got the Amazon business, I've got my hand in a few businesses completely outside of crypto. So I respect and appreciate that a lot. So now, before we wrap up, I try to get, one big overarching tip from my guests. So, there's a million different trading resources out there. There's, Twitter, Telegram, Discord, YouTube, books, etc., right? And there is just information overload. So can you just give us the biggest tip on kind of wading through all of the bullshit and finding resources that can be beneficial? Because I think a lot of people that I have talked to have said, there's just too much out there. And, it's funny because your platform is kind of that, hey, we've waded through all the bullshit, but, can you just give us one tip on what you're kind of looking for to weed that kind of stuff out?
That's a great question, man. Especially for newer traders, right? Who stumble onto the internet and, maybe they Google a couple things and they're on Twitter now, and they see a bunch of cartoon avatars talking about random shit. And occasionally there's some good information, but they can't decipher if that's good or if that's, some random shit that they should just avoid. So, I mean, the first biggest thing is always get your foundation. Like, figure out the basics, look at a chart and understand what you're seeing. You don't have to, understand every little aspect of it. Like, oh, look, this is the close, this is the open, blah, blah, blah. But you should understand just the basics, what is RSI? What does the volume look like? What, is the chart trending up, down? Is it just chopping? What's, just being able to understand what you're looking at. You don't have to know it with the back of your hand, but just understand that, okay, I'm looking at this is what the general image is. Like when you go to a museum, and you see an artwork, and you see, oh look, it's a, it's a picture of a guy. You don't have to be the artist that looks at it and sees, oh yeah, the person who painted this was left-handed, they use watercolors, clearly this is aged from the 1930s, whatever. You don't have to see that much in detail, but you should be able to teach yourself to look at a chart and have a general idea of what you're looking at. And then from there, there's so many, different avenues that you can take. I'm not gonna, I think there's a lot of misinformation, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of things that just get chucked to the side because it doesn't work for some people. I would say the common denominator is just to put in your chart time, figure out what works for you. I have a lot of friends who swear by Ichimoku Cloud and all of this crap that I cannot use for the life of me, but they're profitable with it, so it works for them. I might think it's bullshit, but if it works for them, they're making a living off of it and they're profitable from it. It doesn't matter, Put in your chart time, figure out different, different setups, different methods. Try it out. Maybe price action is for you. Maybe you're a person who likes to follow a strict system. I see this, this, and this, I take the trade. Or maybe you're a discretionary trader where, you wait for the close and then maybe you'll switch to lower time frame to see if support is holding up, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you're that kind of trader. But figure out what works for you, your lifestyle, and who you are as a person. If you're not very patient, maybe you should trade lower time frames. If you're a super patient dude who doesn't mind sitting on a position for weeks at a time, maybe switch to a higher time frame and trade a different type of method. So that would be my tip for everyone out there, to just learn the basics first, figure out what you respond well with, and then learn that, and then see if that applies to your system, right? Figure out your system. And this takes a long time. This isn't one of those things where, oh, look, I had one successful trade, this is my system, and now it works. No, you literally have to just put in your chart time and your trade time. There's a reason why, time in the market is so harped on. Everyone's like, oh, you've only been trading for 3 months. What the fuck do you know? There's some truth to that. No matter if you're profitable for 3 months or not, you have to put in that time to realize if your system actually works, or are you just in a market that favors that system for now. It's a really, that's why I say trading isn't for everyone. It's a very long and brutal type of game. So yeah, that's where I'd start.
So you talked about this idea that you need to get your foundation and understand the basics, and I think that is the best way to kind of weed through this bullshit, because I think that the foundation and the basics of trading you can find almost anywhere, and it's pretty widely agreed upon. So you get that down first, and then you can kind of see, okay, this guy, it seems like he doesn't really know what he's talking about because he's ignoring these basic foundations that trading is based upon. And then
exactly.
And then from there you can kind of explore which method works best for you, but you really do need that foundation first. So I really appreciate that advice, and I think to anyone who's listening who's new to trading or is thinking about getting into trading, look at all the resources out there, get that basic foundation down first, because just standard chart patterns, what what candlesticks are, what an open is, what a close is, etc. The very, very, very basics are where you need to start.
Just so that you have some type of, even if it's just remedial understanding of what the chart is trying to tell you, so that other people can't tell you otherwise. Like if the chart is clearly going down and this guy's telling you, oh yeah, well, this is up, you can tell, all right, this guy's full of shit, he's selling me dreams and I'm gonna ignore him. right? Like if you don't know that and you look at a chart and someone just tells you whatever, you kind of have to believe them because you don't know any better.
Exactly.
You kind of just, I guess it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I see so many people falling prey to that.
Yep.
I saw someone on Twitter. I'm not going to name any names here. I saw someone post something on Twitter, and they were calling it extremely bullish, and it had thousands of likes and hundreds of people commenting on it. And a closer friend of mine, or like someone I'm closer with on Twitter, comments on it. Hey, this is extremely bearish. Like, why are you posting this? And it's just crazy that these charts get thrown out there and so many people just don't know, and so they believe what they're seeing.
Yeah, because they have to. They really don't know any better.
Don't know
so
better.
They just have to. Yeah, they have to take that information for what it is. Like at face value, this guy says, "Hey, this chart is bullish." But if you don't know that it's bearish, then like you don't know what you don't know. So
exactly,
you just take it and you run with it. Because it fits your bias, maybe, right? And that's how people get hurt, and that's how people lose a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, definitely. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me. You've given us this background on yourself. You've talked about what NowCrypto is and how people can benefit from it. You've given us this year-long timeline on what you're most excited for. And then you gave us some great tips on, for anyone who's starting to learn to trade or who wants to get into trading. You gave us some great tips. Before we sign off and before this episode ends, are there any resources out there, like specific resources that you found helpful for those people who are very new to trading?
People that are very new to trading.
Yeah, so, anyone to follow, any YouTube videos, books, that kind of stuff, any resources.
Right. Well, I'm gonna toss them the most generic answer possible because I think, and don't get me wrong, when I say generic, I just mean it's probably the most popular answer. But go ahead and follow Cred.
There we go.
That guy, pretty much, if you're looking for a foundation, just a brief understanding, a brief breakdown of fundamentals, just follow him, watch the videos. You don't have to watch all of them. I didn't watch all of them. I only browse here and there, but figure out what you want to learn, right? Maybe if you try baby pips, but I would recommend baby pips, Cred, and then anything that interests you in those video series. You can always look deeper in depth, right? You can always do more research on it. You can dig deeper. But for beginners, new traders, I would recommend starting there. Their information has been, tried and tested. It's very generic, basic information that you would get from a textbook, and I'm not saying it's going to make you profitable, but it'll give you a good understanding of what you're looking at.
It'll help you build that foundation, like you're saying.
Exactly.
I'm glad you brought up Cred because, he's one of the most well-known people on crypto Twitter for traders. But if you're, brand new, you don't know this guy. You don't know who he is, what he's about.
Yeah.
So for anyone who does not do any sort of trading and is listening to this, Crypto Cred, I believe, is his handle. He's got great study guides, and he's been putting out a lot of videos recently. So I highly recommend you going and checking those out. And I do just want to comment on the fact that you said you haven't watched all of them. So we've got that on record. Cred, you're probably not listening. But
credit's gonna come from my ass.
Yeah,
right now.
I just want you to know Loma doesn't listen to all your videos or hasn't watched all your videos.
Dude, I just play it at the start, roll it to the end so that he gets a.
There we go. Yeah, he gets that. He gets that view.
Yeah.
All right, man. Again, I really appreciate you coming on. This has been a wonderful episode, and I'm glad I finally got to sit down with you. It was a long time in the making, and I'm excited to get this out for the people. Is there anything else that you think you may have forgotten or wanted to mention that you didn't so far?
No, man. I mean, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate the patience and everything while we are setting all of this up. Uh,
I don't want you to think that that's a jab of any sort. We're both busy.
no, dude,
I'm
it
excited we
was
actually got it down. This has been, a great episode. I've got a smile on my face right now. And
no, dude, it was fun for me too, man. I appreciate you having. Um, Give a quick shout out
yeah, shout anybody out.
God, right?
Okay. I
Uh,
appreciate
no,
that.
I was listening to Twycrates right before.
There we go. Yeah.
That
His
cracked me
shout
up.
out to God. But no, seriously, if you want to shout anybody out, I know you already did Cred and Baby Pips. Anybody else, have at it.
No, man. I mean, that's it. Just thank you for giving me a platform, letting me clear up a lot of things about now crypto too. I feel like a lot of people don't understand why it's there, and there are a lot of people that were turned off from it because of the people that were initially involved. So you allowing me to come on here, clarify that, and just talk about things is enough, man. Thank you.
Yeah, again, thank you. You've provided invaluable information, and you really have cleared it up and given us, what now crypto is all about. And I hope my audience
Yeah.
sees the benefit and sees the potential of this platform. So, again, thank you for coming on. All right, guys, that wraps up another episode. And I just want to take a quick second to ask you a huge favor. If you found anything in the episode helpful or it's been inspiring to you in any way, I just ask that you share it with your friends, family, anyone you know on social media, and hopefully we can help them out as well. Have a good one.